Misty fam, welcome to The Activity Continues, a podcast where three friends and soul sisters usually recap episodes of the TV show The Dead Files and talk about other creepy shit as well. I'm Amy.
And I'm Megan. As Amy said, we usually recap episodes, but this week we're doing things just a little differently. This is our annual Boo Pod Halloween special episode. So if you didn't join us last year for this, here's what it is. We are members of the amazing Boo Pod Network, which is a bunch of paranormal, true crime, and horror podcasts. Each year during spooky season, we do a special episode in collaboration with the rest of the network. Last year, we did the, oh my God, I'm blanking on it. What was it? The
Bridgewater Triangle.
Bridgewater Triangle up in Massachusetts. So we each did a story or part of it. So it was a big collaboration. Mm-hmm. This year, however, the theme is urban legends. And so we're covering legends from the fine state of Minnesota.
Hey everyone, this is Amy P, or AP as the girls like to call me. If this is your first time hearing our show, welcome. And what took you so long to get here? But we'll be here for you anytime.
As Amy, you.
Yeah, I suppose. As Amy mentioned at the top, and Megan said it as well, that we usually recap episodes of the Dead Files or do interviews with former clients and other paranormal professionals. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and check out our back catalog because there's plenty of fun stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea what our content warning will be because I can say that I know in mine there is cannibalism conversation.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And in mine, I have just a little addendum that was something on the news today that was about animal
current events.
Yeah, something happened.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not good. It has to do with animal death.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is though, so I don't know. I mean, I know what animal death is. I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, okay. It's
animal
something that happened.
Pretty self-explanatory.
I saw it. I saw what you're going to talk about.
I was like, what? I'm talking about that tonight in like an hour. So then I had to go and read the stories on the news websites. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So as the girls mentioned, the Boo Pod Halloween special season is here. And so far, by the time this comes out, ours is on the 26th. So by the time this comes out, you will have already been able to hear 1, 2, 3, 4. Shit and Bricks was the first one that was released October 6th. And they did Australian urban legends because they are from Australia.
What? I didn't know that.
Weird.
It's so hard to tell.
I just thought they had really neat accents from somewhere.
They do.
They do. That is true. I didn't even need to make that rhyme.
And then Haunted or Hoax was on the 17th, and they are doing The Curse of Lake Lanier.
Mm-hmm.
And then Haunted Happy Hour, and that was on the 18th, and they're doing Mysterious Legends of the Heartland, which is near us too. I don't think they're doing any of the ones that we are, but
aren't we?
I didn't check with them, and if they are, then. Huh?
And if they are, they're probably doing them better than we are, so you'll get more information.
So head on over there to Haunted Happy
Vanessa
Hour.
and Lily are pretty awesome on those.
And
they are.
All the information we did not include.
Yeah. Well, my excuse is that I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I only did a little bit of work before I went on vacation, and then I was going to do some while I was there. And I will say that I did write the script while I was on vacation.
But then I'm very upset at you for, because you weren't supposed to do anything but try to find a little cow.
Be on vacation.
I know. But I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I couldn't sleep. So there was nothing else to do. And we'll get to that another time. I'll tell you all about the vacation in the next episode. Because I figure this is people listening to this one, for the most part, people who maybe haven't heard us before.
Right.
And they
are wondering when we're going to get to the point.
Yeah. Like, how long's it been now? And they haven't fucking started yet. Oh, by the way, we swear. Okay. So
don't let your children listen to this, or if you do, just know that there will be swears.
Yeah. Yeah. So then after Haunted Happy Hour, Tuesday the 24th was Horror Roulette, and they did Pennsylvania and Maryland urban legends,
which I'm sure are really good because the Northeast.
Oh yeah,
super duper haunted.
Yeah. And then us, of course, and then after us tomorrow, the next day after us is Certainly Strange, And she's doing The White Ladies. I confess, I have no idea what that is.
Sounds fancy.
I'm going to go out on a limb and make a guess that it's about all the different ladies in white that are out there. There's the ladies in gray, ladies in black, ladies in white.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's several, like, especially like on lighthouses or anything that's near the oceans.
Usually like jilted brides or
they throw themselves off their
fiance or
the widow's
husband.
peak.
Yeah. Their fiance or husband like died at sea and they're just so distraught.
Yep. Ugh, some guy must have written that story.
Yep.
For sure.
So then also on the 27th is the Skylark Bell, our friend Melissa.
Yeah.
And she's doing French Canadian lore and specifically La Correvue. And I'm sure I said that wrong.
Oh, 100% you did.
And then the last one.
Like cringing at our
I know, she's like, Amy, how many times have I said that? Because that La Correvue, however you say it, is in her Skylark Bell story. I've heard that that character in her story. But anyway, then the last one is on the 30th. That is Nightcap Nebula. And he's doing top 10 alarming urban legends. But then I think he did say that he was switching it up and doing internet urban legends. And that was like after we had our list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So
I fall for those every time. I'm every internet troll's best friend because I always fall for it.
You're like, what? Really?
What?
Yeah.
100%.
That reminds me, did you guys see that TikTok I sent you with the ghosty thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I haven't watched it yet.
After rewatching Hill House, The Haunting of Hill House this weekend, that just made me think that he watched Haunting of Hill House prior to that. But, never know.
It looked to me like, I mean, if it's real, and I'll post a link to it in the show notes for all y'all listening, but if it's real, it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And if it isn't real, he did a great job.
So you're saying I should watch this like at noon in the middle of the day?
You should watch it when you get up in the morning or something. Okay. Yeah, while you're eating breakfast. Okay. Yeah, don't watch it tonight.
Okay. But what goes into it making it seem real is that if it isn't, that they didn't tell the child.
Yes, because the child is going, is this real? Is this real?
Oh.
And he's saying, yes, it's real. And then you hear the child crying. And I was like, and that might have just been to make us feel like it's really real. And maybe the kid's in on it and they're an actor. Who knows? But
no idea.
I hope so, because if you're going to traumatize children just for views, then that's terrible.
That's not cool. That's not cool at all. But it's a terrifying
I frown
video.
on you if that's what you're doing.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that just made me think about we used to do stuff to my brother when he was little because it was fun. But my dad took us all to Jurassic Park, and my brother was born in 1990. So when Jurassic Park came out, he was only like 4.
Oh my God! And your dad took him to Jurassic
Park. Oh my God! My sister went and watched all the Leprechaun movies together.
Oh my God!
But my brother loved Jurassic Park, but my dad would pretend to be a velociraptor.
Oh,
jump around on the furniture. It's still like my brother still remembers it and thinks it's funny, but it was the 90s. It was fun. I think my sister has the full set of the Leprechaun movies.
Oh my God. I've never even seen one of those.
Oh, they're terrible.
I don't.
Listen, I was an imaginative child, okay? They terrified me.
There's the leprechaun, like, in the hood.
Yeah, Lep in the Hood.
Wasn't Jennifer Aniston in one of those?
Yeah, she's in the first one.
Okay.
The little chant is Lep in the Hood, come to do no good.
Oh, God.
The only thing I remember is when they killed a guy with a pogo stick.
Ooh.
Oh. Spoiler for a 35-year-old movie.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so you can only imagine what my parents did to torture me.
We already know.
Yeah.
We already know.
Well, my dad used to make haunted houses for me. My mom thinks that's why I'm into ghosts. It's because my dad used to make haunted houses in the attic.
What was the cult that they said would come for you? The
Moonies.
Moonies.
The Moonies. Right. My parents told me that the Moonies, I had to watch out because they might come for me and take me away.
Yeah.
Still and also quicksand.
Barb.
Yeah. Ugh, Barb. Barb's my mom, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. And the polar bear that she watched.
And I have a polar bear from Follow that
named Barb.
That is named Barb. Yes.
She didn't name her Barb. She
pre-named. That's her real name. That's her
real
given name.
Her God-given christened name.
Christian name, yeah.
Yes.
Because polar bears are Christian.
Barb that's the only right religion. Sarcasm, everybody. That's complete sarcasm.
And now we all leave.
And we just lost a whole bunch of people.
Lost all of our
just kidding, guys.
Listeners. We're totally kidding.
We're very open to lots of different religions or none at all.
Or non-religions. If you don't believe it, that's you do you. Whatever works.
You do you. As long as you're not hurting you or anyone else.
Whatever makes you happy.
Okay, one more little thing I want to talk about quick. Patreon. If anybody, since you already, of course, love us by now, listening to us for the first 5 minutes.
Obviously.
Hop on over to our
5 minutes?
5 minutes. Yeah. That's cute. Amy.
I was thinking I might cut some of this. So
that's cute.
Cute.
You'd have to cut a lot to get us to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. So our Patreon, you can go over and join for free. You don't get everything that the paid people do, but you do get all the, you can see all the posts and stuff like that. And the paid people get episodes early, usually on Monday, and ours normally come out on Thursdays. So I usually have them ready by Monday. And then they get extra behind the scenes stuff and extra snippets. And sometimes I cut things out of the main release that I don't think is really for the masses, but people that we trust. I leave it in for patrons. So yeah, there's stuff like that. So anyway, and they now put up, they changed their app. They updated their app. And so now there is a chat feature on the app. So that is where our group chat is going to be because everybody can join Patreon and they don't have to be on quote unquote social media. And like a lot of people have said, I don't do Facebook or I don't do Instagram or I don't do WhatsApp. So this is something everybody can do, and you don't have to, if you're a patron,
you don't have to pay for it.
You don't have to pay for it. Yep.
And
I have the chat open to everybody, even non-paid people. So
yeah.
So that's that.
All right.
If you want to come over and join us over there.
All right.
All right. So who's gonna start?
I say AP starts.
I can start. Ooh, I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
I will say there are some very descriptives in here, and those are quotes. So I am going to cover the legend of the Wendigo.
Ooh.
And the Wendigo is spelled several different ways. Sometimes you hear it Wendigo. I've heard Wendigo, so I do apologize for any mispronunciations because I barely get through English most days.
Which is our first language. So.
Yes. So the Wendigo legend is of Anishinaabe or Ojibwe heritage or background in folklore, which is related to any Algonquin speaking nations. So First Nations or Indigenous people, depending on if you're in Canada or the United States on what that's called. And so my sources, I have the Itasca Historical Society, which is Itasca County, Minnesota, and the book The Manitos by Basil Johnston, who is was an Ojibwe teacher and scholar from Ontario. So he has some very descriptive pieces of what the Wendigo is. So I wanted to make sure to have those here.
Okay.
Cool.
What's fun is we've all heard about the Wendigo, but today's media has latched on to this design and look of what they think the Wendigo is that differs from the legend itself.
I'm interested because I only know the Wendigo from the Charmed episode where Prue dies and Piper turns into a Wendigo. So.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for, again, a 30-year-old show.
Yeah. Yep. So today's media has latched onto the legend of the Wendigo, but it's changed it. And maybe it's changed its appearance, and what it does, because the traditional tellings or the oral stories that are passed down from generation to generation for hundreds of years are too close to what we as humans do today. Greed, unsatisfiable hunger for more, and a monster in a humanoid form.
Oh my God, is this about Americans?
It's you'll hear more about what the legend kind of brings about, because it's kind of like a lot of stories where there's a reason why that story is there to tell, to warn you of something, to keep you away from doing something. So the Wendigo is often depicted in movies or other media nowadays as something that's deer-like with large antlers. It's like Antlers, the movie that came out in 2021. I've seen it. It's a horror thriller movie, so it's not going to be a movie Megan's going to watch.
Nope.
But the tellings from the legend provide that the Wendigo is a human-like creature that in some cases they say 12 to 15 feet tall, and others say that it's 5 to 8 times the height of a normal human. So a monster of a human, man or woman. It is said that only in height.
Gender equality. I like that.
Yes. It's only in height that it is greater than a human. It is never as heavy as it is never full.
Okay. So now they're calling us fat.
So here's the description. This is from Basil Johnson's book, The Manitos. And again, I may be pronouncing that wrong, but that has to do with the spirits. And so his book, I did purchase it. Really fun if you want to get a little bit of knowledge about the different spirits and legends in the Ojibwe or Anishinaabe culture. Cool. So the Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation. Its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones. With its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash gray of death. And its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets. The Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton, recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Unclean and suffering from separations of the flesh, the Wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption.
Ooh, spooky.
The Wendigo's lips are ragged and bloody from its insatiable hunger, where its teeth tear its own flesh.
Oh, God. Slow down there, buddy.
Yeah, take a step back.
Its teeth and nails are sharp for the hunt. And speaking of the hunt, it is said that the Wendigo comes surrounded in a cold chill that goes into your bones. The closer you are, the colder it becomes, even in the dead of summer. Not to mention the stench of death and decay. The Wendigo instilled fear and the worst of human behavior. It gorged itself on human flesh and bones, but could never be full. The more it ate, the hungrier it became. Telling the story of the Wendigo was to highlight what can happen to those with despicable behaviors, unthinkable traits. You don't want to be like the Wendigo, or worse, become one.
Wait, human can become a Wendigo?
Yes.
Oh, I thought they were just an otherworldly creature.
Piper became one in Charmed, so obviously.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
There are different ways that the Wendigo can be created. The ones we hear about the most is when someone resorts to desperate measures, like cannibalism. When this happens,
if you could become a Wendigo if you cannibalize somebody?
Yes.
Okay.
So this part of the story was to forewarn against being cannibalistic, but also against greed and taking all for yourself rather than sharing amongst others. And I'll get to that a little bit at the bottom of this paragraph.
Okay.
Excuse me. Sorry. So when this happens, they are overtaken by the Manitou of the Wendigo and become a Wendigo themselves. The second way is through the no fault of the person, but from someone cursing that person to become a Wendigo, meaning they were cursed to resort to cannibalism.
Okay.
Although the Wendigo is fast and stealthy, and I mean, who wouldn't want that? I mean, you sneak through the woods and going as fast as possible. They are cursed to be forever stuck as a monster, one that is cannibalistic and greedy. That is what the legend is meant to represent, greed. Because generosity is always a highly valued trait, and greed is the opposite of that highly valued trait. So in the way that the legends are is that if you're living in a group, you're sharing. Everything goes about. So from the Minnesota, or from the Historical Society in Itasca, among different tribes, a ceremonial dance is sometimes performed during times of famine to reinforce the seriousness of the Wendigo taboo. The ceremony, which I will not try to pronounce because it's about 26 letters long, was performed during times of famine and involved wearing masks and dancing backwards around a drum. The last known Wendigo ceremony conducted at the United States was at Lake Wendigo of Star Island of Cass Lake, located within the Leech Lake Indian Reservation in northern Minnesota. So,
did it say when it was done?
I don't have that down, but they might. It was in the 1900s.
Okay. So pretty recently.
Yeah. So I have two stories that highlight both the ways that somebody could become a Wendigo. So One.
Are
So
them
these,
charmed?
no.
Is Piper involved?
I'm sorry.
Is Piper
I mean,
involved?
you could give somebody the name Piper in one of the stories.
Okay.
These synopses of stories come from the Manitou's book by Basil Johnston. A family man who was a successful hunter himself found himself and his family hitting hard times in the drought of summer. He could hardly provide food for his family. Animals fled to find food, but the people stayed. So all of the people of the village stayed. And as they got throughout the winter, they started getting desperate, living off of bark and roots and whatever bird or mammal may have stuck around. He was desperate. So he went to a sorcerer looking for some sort of talisman that he could find.
Never go to
so
the
that he could find
sorcerers.
food. Well, he got more than he bargained for. The sorcerer gave him a tea that he drank in the morning. And as soon as he did, he grew in height. He grew to nearly 6 times his own height.
Holy shit. That's like
He was-
30 feet.
He was amazed at and forgot about his family's plight. He started to walk. Then he started to run to see how far and fast he could go. But when he stopped out of breath from running, he remembered his hunger, which is now unsatiable. He saw he was near a village, and not realizing he was a monster, he called out to them in a sound that was so booming, it literally scared some of the people to death. He approached the village, and he went forward, and as people ran from him, his hunger screamed at him. He started scooping up the corpses of those that his voice had killed and devoured them. His hunger did not subside. He ate more, and the more he ate, the more he grew. Not in width, but only in height. He was ravenous. He ate the entire village, and he was a Wendigo. He did miss one man who was not at the village when he came upon the village. This man hunted down the Wendigo all winter and finally caught up to him. He clubbed the Wendigo to death to avenge the deaths of his entire village.
Jeez.
How was the tea supposed to help him feed his family if it turned him into that?
Well, he was a good hunter and he wanted to be the best hunter. He wanted to be the one that could find the animals that were still around.
Yeah.
More than likely. That's
That
my
makes sense.
my guessing. So the second one, and this one's sad. That
Because the
first
other one was super cheerful.
obviously.
Very
Just a
one was-
holiday romp.
But this one
Is it a Hallmark movie?
I was just gonna say
I
it's
mean-
gonna be a Hallmark movie.
it
Starring
has
Lacey
the
Chabert.
makings of a Hallmark mystery, murder mystery. So this one has things that we will recognize. Has a lot of things that we will recognize, like a man who doesn't understand the word no and does whatever he wants to get what he wants.
Typical.
So a man. Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
So this man approached another and his wife for the hand of their daughter in marriage. They told him, no, you already have several wives and there are other men without wives.
Greedy.
Plus, he sounds like he was not a good guy and the parents saw that. But it goes back to don't take, don't take more than what you need. So this man took this as an insult and humiliation and was going to get his way no matter what. So he went home and made a figure. Now we're in winter, mind you. So
in Minnesota, which is chilly.
Yes. Or Canada,
which is even chillier.
This man went home and he made a figure of the girl. And it always says girl. So we don't know exactly age-wise, but
Let's
story.
say woman to make us all feel better.
That's not the way it was in the book.
He's already a bad guy.
So the man made this figure out of snow and water, and then he put it outside so it would freeze solid. And when it was frozen solid, he buried it in the ashes of the fire and performed a ritual and a chant. The poor, unsuspecting girl was with her family miles away when she became cold that went all the way down into her bones. It was all the way through her, and she couldn't warm up. And she became incredibly hungry, even though they had all eaten already. Her family cared for her, tried to warm her up, built a fire, covered her with blankets, bring her hot food and hot drink. Nothing could help. She was overcome with colds and hunger. And over the night, she killed her family and ate them.
Oh, that escalated quickly.
She woke the next morning knowing nothing, wondering where her family had gone and why they had left her. Of course, guess who shows up to rescue her? Quotes of rescue.
McGee.
But the man who did this to her. As he was now her rescuer, it was common for her to become his new bride. She asked him what happened and he wouldn't tell her. She was not happy, and as he figured he would be, I saved her and she doesn't even thank me.
Ungrateful.
She was lonely and sad, All of the other wives had their families to come and visit, but she had no one. She kept asking everyone what happened, and finally one of the other older wives said, "Keep pushing. He knows. Ask him." So she did, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times until he caved. He claimed he was trying to save her from her guilt, or maybe his own, she spiraled into a depression and was cold and hungry. She finally had enough and built a fire and threw herself into it.
Oh.
She had murdered the people she loved and who had loved her and wanted to see them again. She never screamed. She never tried to flee. Those around her screamed, trying to get her out of the fire, but she refused. When they sifted through the ashes the next day, all they found was an ice figure of a woman carrying an infant. She was carrying an unborn child, which question, would this have become a Wendigo then? Because it's feeding upon what she has feasted upon.
Right.
So this was her revenge to her creator. This is one of the only stories that is told of a Wendigo that killed itself to harm its creator. So as Wendigos do not kill themselves because they are typically greedy. So ending from the Manito's book is another quote. It says, "Over the years, the belief in the fear of Wendigos has diminished. The Wendigo may or may not roam the north any longer, but their spirit and the ideas they embody live on in this modern world." And I think we can all see that around us.
I'm glad they don't live on, because I would be petrified to meet one of them.
Well, just don't go camping up north. You're fine.
Well,
I know,
darn
Amy,
it, you know
that.
how much I love camping.
I know.
There goes that.
You and I are safe. Amy could be in trouble.
Amy's not safe. Amy's in trouble.
Yeah, but I don't have a need or desire to be too greedy. Take more than I have.
It's true.
Right. But a Wendigo could still come after you. That's what would scare me. Well, that was a good story.
That was a good one. That was good. Thanks, Amy. All right, moving on to me. I also have an Indigenous people legend. It is the Mishipeshu, and I apologize so much if I mispronounce that. I did put it in the internet, and I got a pronunciation guide. And I know the internet is never wrong.
I put it in the internet.
I put it in Google. The internets, the Googles. So it is the Mishipeshu, and it's also known as the underwater panther of Lake Superior.
Ooh.
And I did get a picture for Amy to put in the socials.
Yeah.
And so I use 3 sources. I have the Great Lakes Guide, mythologicalcreaturesguide.com, and the Canadian Encyclopedia. So this is where I got all my information. So like I said, it is an Ojibwe water creature. It's also affiliated with the Algonquin, the Ottawa, the Menominee, Shawnee, and Cree tribes. So it's kind of affiliated with a lot of different tribes. I did throw in some fun facts about Lake Superior. In terms of surface area, Lake Superior is the biggest lake in the world. It holds more water than all 4 of the other Great Lakes combined.
Oh.
And it can produce waves over 9 meters or 29.5 feet tall, which is fucking tall.
Yeah.
So a lot of people surf Lake Superior because of that. And there's no
It's cold though.
It is cold.
Better have a wetsuit on.
They go naked.
Okay. Okay, we're just gonna scoot right over that. So here are some information and facts I got about the Mishipeshu. Mishipeshu. So it travels through underwater tunnels, and its main home is the Mishipeshu Island in Ontario. And they say that it sounds like rushing water. It speaks with a roaring hiss that sounds like rushing water. And it's really an amalgamation of a ton of different animals. So it has the body and the head of a wild cat, often a cougar or a lynx, the horns of a deer or a bison, upright scales on its back. Sometimes it can have feathers, and also a very long tail that's serpentine in nature. It's also described as a cross between a cougar and a dragon. So
I want one.
It's a really cool picture.
It is. Yeah. It's like his tail is very like long and sinuous and just very reptilian. Yeah. So they do require large amounts of copper in their diet to keep their scales healthy and to protect them against the element. And they are also considered to be the protector of copper. And that's why they live in the Great Lakes, because there's a lot of copper in the Great Lakes. So indigenous people that are native to the area, they used to mine copper, but eventually they stopped mining it. It became extremely taboo and forbidden by the Ojibwe tribe. And it was especially awful to take from the Mishipeshu Island, which was Mishipeshu's home. So to take copper from this island is considered stealing from Mishipeshu himself. And so it's super taboo. They are also enemies of thunderbirds. Fun fact. And their clashes can be heard from miles around. They are evenly matched, though. There's no one above the other because the thunderbird is faster in the air and they have range capacity, while the Mishipeshu is stronger in melee and resistant to lightning cast by the thunderbirds. So it's kind of like who's going to tire quicker is whoever's going to win.
So it's a bird and cat that have
Tom
turned
and
each other.
Jerry
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom and Tweety bird. They are mostly thought to be malevolent beasts, unfortunate, that bring about death and misfortune. And so often the indigenous tribes would conduct ceremonies to placate the Mishipeshu and grant them safe passage. And as late as the 1950s, the prairie band of Potawatomi, I'm so sorry to everybody listening who is an indigenous person. I'm trying my best. The Potawatomi Native Americans performed a traditional ceremony to placate the underwater panther and to maintain balance with the thunderbird. So some stories that I have about the Mishipeshu. So the first quote unquote documented story of a Mishipeshu sighting, a Jesuit missionary named Claude Dablon told a story about 4 Ojibwe Indians who embarked on a journey to the home of Mishipeshu to take some copper back to their home and use it to heat water. The second they pushed off and back into the water with the canoe, the eerie voice of the water panther surrounded them. The water panther came growling after them and vigorously attacked, accusing them of stealing the playthings of his children, so the copper. All 4 of the Indians died. The last one survived long enough to tell the tale of what had happened in his final moments before he died. So that's unfortunate. But they all 4 died. I also thought it was kind of convenient that he was able to survive and to tell what happened just before he died.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the ways that in like a lot of battling cultures, like the Vikings and that sort of stuff, is like leave one alive to tell the story.
Right.
Plus,
and then
the legend, I mean, it makes for the story.
Exactly. Yeah. The second one is in the 17th century. Father Paul Lejeune is standing on the shores of Lake Superior, watching as one of the First Nations tribes in the area fish. As he gazes out over the turbulent waters, he sees the men pulling a curious creature out of the water. The creature is over 1.5 meters long with a lizard-like body and the head of a turtle. The fishermen seem very unsettled, and they quickly toss the creature back into Lake Superior's churning depths. Later on that night, Father Lejeune learns that the strange creature the men had caught was not a fish at all, but a monster capable of causing catastrophic storms. And in releasing it, the men hoped to escape its wrath. And there is a media appearance. Season 4, episode 18 of the TV show Grimm is about the Mishipeshu. And it originally aired April 17th of 2015.
I loved that show.
So season 4, episode 18 is about a Native American boy who I believe gets possessed by something. So yeah, not a ton of information on it, but it was a really neat creature to learn about.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, you know, you usually think of scary things as being in the ocean.
Yeah.
There's some scary things in the lakes too,
Yep.
people.
Yep.
Just don't go swimming in anything with creatures in it.
Word to the wise.
Stay in swimming pools.
Oh, that was good too.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
I love the folklore and everything that we have of so many different cultures and nations and just everything from around the world. There's just so much cool stuff out there.
Yeah, there's so much. So I am talking about Gray Cloud Island, which I had never even heard of until I started looking up urban legends. And I found a podcast that was talking about Gray Cloud Island. And it was a podcast that was done by like a park ranger, a female park ranger. And it was really interesting. And I wrote down a bunch of stuff and I was like, okay, that sounds good. There's a good amount of stuff there to cover. And then when I went back to find the podcast, I can't find it. So I don't know. If I find it, or if anybody knows, let me know. If I find it, I'll put the links in the show notes. But it was interesting, her podcast. And then I since found a few others.
Okay.
One of them was called Booze and Brews Podcast.
Ooh,
and their
I
episode
like
was, I know, it's cute.
Oh my God.
There are three people, two girls and a guy, I believe. And they just get drunk and swear and talk about creepy stuff. So
Did it was become best friends.
I know. I know. It was fun. And the episode is called Montclair University versus Gray Cloud Island. And it's not really a story about the one of the people covers Montclair University and the other one covers Gray Cloud Island. So it doesn't really have anything to do with them together.
Got it.
And
so
then
duking it out to see who's the best urban legend.
No. And then I also found, just for stories, have you guys heard of or listened to the Let's Not Meet podcast?
No.
Oh, it's kind of like creepypastas where this guy he reads stories that are sent in to him or that he finds. I think he also does once he finds on Reddit. I could be wrong about that. But definitely people send in their stories and he reads them, or sometimes these other actors and actresses read them. And so it's stories like listener stories, basically.
Sure.
And it's all about like creepy people that you cross paths with. And then, each story ends with, and hey, creepy person, let's not meet.
Yeah.
So,
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a really good podcast. And so 2 episodes cover Gray Cloud Island, season 2, episode 1, and season 9, episode 19. And then I also found a bunch of sources online.
On the internet?
On the internets.
Sure.
I did the Googs.
Nice.
And so it's just a bunch of different ones. And I can't remember what I found from each one, but I will put all of my sources, all of our sources in the show notes. Okay, so Gray Cloud Island is a township in Washington County, Minnesota. The population in 2010 was 307. So it's pretty small.
And that's not far from us.
No, it's not.
Washington
it's actually, it's right near Cottage Grove and Inver Grove Heights.
Oh, wow. That is super close.
I work down there, but I work in Dakota County.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it says the township formerly included all of Lower Gray Cloud Island, but that area has been annexed by the neighboring city of Cottage Grove. So it's not the same size as it was. But so it is about 3.9 square miles, which is 10 kilometers. And 3.1 of those square miles is land and 0.7 is water. There's plenty of water there. And County Road 75 is the main route to get in. The racial makeup of the town, this is from the 2010 census, so it could have changed, is 97.39% white, 0.33% African American, and 0.33% Native American. And then 0.98% from other races. And then it says another 9.8% from 2 or more races. So mixed races, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I was surprised because it does have a history, Native American history. So it was, I'm surprised it wasn't more Native that there were so many white people there.
They kicked them out.
Yeah, probably. God damn it.
Mm.
So it has a long history of settlement by Native American peoples, the Hopwell and the Sioux. And it was an important place for the woodland mound builders.
Oh,
so
sounds fun.
This island has the largest concentration of burial mounds in the county, it says.
Oh.
But I think it actually is the country.
So it's super
I think I heard
then.
somebody else say it was in the country. Yeah. So, and it mentioned that people of the late Mississippian culture were there around 1000 CE.
Oh my
and I looked
God.
I looked up CE because I wasn't sure.
Isn't that common era?
Yeah, it's current era. I think it says current era. Let me see. Did I put that in here? I might have cut that part out. All right. No. CE stands for common or current area, while BCE stands for before the common or current area. These abbreviations have a shorter history than BC and AD, though they still date from at least the early 1700s.
I'm so smart sometimes.
You are. They have been in frequent use by Jewish academics for more than 100 years because, of course, why would they be counting things based on the birth of Jesus? But it's more widespread later in the 20th century, replacing BC and AD. This area was featured on a 2020 TV show called 50 States of Fright in a 3-part series of episodes in season 1, episodes 9, 10, and 11. I found that it was on a network called Quibi, which I guess was an internet network.
Quibi.
I've never heard of it.
Quibi.
Yep.
And it said Roku is its successor. So like Roku took over.
Okay.
But I cannot find this show on Roku.
So from what I can recall, when people were talking about Quibi was during like the pandemic. But yeah it was supposed to be like 15-minute episodes of things and like you could watch things really quickly. But I think they got bought out by Roku.
Yeah. So I can't find those at all. I was going to watch them, but I couldn't find them. So some of the things that are happening on this island, which is not exactly an island, it's not completely surrounded by water.
Would you say it's more of a peninsula?
It is more of a peninsula, yes.
Damn it, I was going to say that.
Yes, it is. It does have water all around it, but, it does
that's what a peninsula is.
Yeah. So
like Florida.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I want to make sure to stress, please do not go out there. Please do not go out there and try to do ghost hunting or whatever. The people that live there do not take kindly. No, they do not like that. The police warns people all the time.
Good.
Do not go out there. We don't want to come chasing your ass. Just,
do you want people coming into your house or your neighborhood staring at things, being like, is that a ghost or a person in the window?
Right.
Yeah.
Just be respectful and don't do it. And listen to these stories and be like, wow, those are amazing. And then go about your lives. Yeah.
Don't go try to prove them right or wrong.
Zoe, I'm looking at you.
Zoe's going to come all the way from New York.
Yeah, she is. I knew it. I know it.
Okay. So there are a few different legends within this, and 3 of them take place in the cemetery. Yes, there is a cemetery.
Of course they take place
in the
cemetery.
So, of course, it's haunted. People have seen a former native chief roaming around with a green lantern. Some say they see the chief and the lantern. Some just see the floating green orb.
How do they not know it's the superhero, the Green Lantern?
Well, one of the podcasts, the Boozy Sweary podcast, was talking about that. They're like making Green Lantern jokes.
Booze and Brews?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we would be best friends.
I know. So they say some people think that the island was named after this chief and that his name was Gray Cloud, but that's not actually true. It was named after a woman named Margaret Aird, and also known as a word I don't even know if I want to try to say. I will spell it Mahpuahawin.
Okay.
And her native name was Gray Cloud Woman 2. Her mother was Gray Cloud Woman 1.
Yes, of course.
For reasons I do not know, the island was named after her as opposed to her mother. That I don't know. What I do know is that her father, I think his name was James Aird, Aird, was Scottish.
Oh my gosh. That was more British than Scottish.
Just have Scottish. Yeah, I can't just. I listened to Scott's talk for a week, and I still can't do it.
You should definitely keep doing your Scottish and English accents.
I know.
That's for a Patreon only episode.
Yeah. So. We're going to do an entire one with our Scottish accents.
I apologize to everybody. All of our Scottish listeners will be
I will drink Scottish ale or gin. I won't do accents.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we had some really good Scottish gin.
Oh gosh, I love gin. Gin. I
know, it's yummy. And I will say also they have a version of like Bailey's that is Scotch malt liquor. And I bought a bottle of it. So when you guys come over this weekend, if we're doing that, we can taste it. It's real caramely tasting. It's not as good as Five Farms. Wow. Did you have it, Amy, when you were there?
No. Well, maybe.
I didn't have it when I was there. I just bought a bottle and brought it home.
Do you remember what the name is?
Magnum. It comes in a big, well, not huge, but a silver, hard silver, like not glass container, like a thermos almost. Yeah. And it's reusable. It's like they said it's a reusable flask. It says right on it. But I'm like, that flask, it's pretty big. Anyone would be able to see it hanging out of my back pocket.
We had something similar to Drambuie, but better, but I don't remember what it was called.
Okay.
Cool. I've heard of Drambuie, but I don't know what it is.
You can find Drambuie in stores in the US.
You can find it here.
John's mom and stepdad like Drambuie.
We used to buy it. And make little cordial drinks out of it. We haven't bought it in a long time.
I miss to those rude drinks.
Yes.
My God, I am on fire tonight.
You are.
With the
Alicia Keys sung about you.
I know. I wasn't going to sing it, but I was thinking it.
Oh, did you have any, speaking of, I know we're going to talk more about Scotland later, but did you have any of the gin liqueurs? So not just gin, but a liqueur that had
no.
Oh, they were so good.
I didn't see any of those on any of the menus.
Oh, we were at
or in the liquor stores.
We were at I can't remember what the hotel we stayed at in Fort William, but they had a whole bunch of different of the cordial or of these liqueurs, and I had like a grapefruit gin liqueur.
Oh,
it was so good.
Well, I did find a little like sampler box of Edinburgh gin flavored gin. Yeah. I don't know if they're liqueurs or if they're just flavored gin, but one of them was grapefruit, one of them was rhubarb, and one of them was elderflower.
Okay.
So I haven't tried those yet, but I have
fun.
One. Yeah, so we can try that next week too. Anyway, so also taking place in this cemetery, there is a group of 12 tombstones in the cemetery that all belong to nuns. And if you walk down the line, you can count all 12. But when you turn back around and try to count the other way, you don't get the number 12. You either get 13 or 11.
Whoa.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder why.
I mean, it's obviously paranormal.
Yeah, that's literally the only explanation.
The only explanation.
I mean, that goes without saying.
Right. But I'm thinking maybe some of them are like at an angle funny. And so when you're standing over here, you can't see that one that's behind the other one.
Maybe you're boozing.
Who knows? Maybe you're boozing. Yeah. People have also heard a woman screaming.
Oh, I hate that.
It might be a mountain lion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it could be like a fox or something. Foxes sound
Do we have
hideous.
Mountain lions here?
Yeah, I mean, they can be spotted. They travel quite a distance, but yeah. I mean, love bobcats too.
Yeah.
I'll take a bobcat over a mountain lion.
Yeah. Or I'll take a fox over any of those.
Oh my God, foxes are so
also called
foxes
a cougar.
Are so cute.
I want a fox.
No, foxes
you don't. I'll name him Todd.
Just go up to the Wildlife Science Center. You can see gray foxes, Arctic foxes, and red foxes. Though they only have one true red fox. The other red foxes are gray or white because they were bred to be pets. And
my friend that I met at the Wildlife Center last year when I did the craft show, we were going to go there this year to commemorate meeting there.
Oh,
yeah, she's delightful. Cool. I don't know.
I remember when you went to that show and met that friend.
Yeah, she's
okay.
delightful.
Next up is I'm calling him the Rifleman. He's sometimes called the Translucent Man. It doesn't really have a name, but
that's boring.
He's a translucent man. Yeah. Todd. Okay, so his name's Todd. And they see him carrying a rifle, smoking, and wearing red flannel shirt and an orange hat.
Are we sure he's not John
So
Wayne?
he was out hunting.
Yeah, it's a hunter, I'm sure. Are you sure? What, Megan? Are we sure
are we sure he's not John Wayne?
John Wayne?
The rifle and the cowboy hat and the smoking.
Yeah, but did John Wayne wear flannel and an orange hat? I mean, orange hat's like a hunting hat, right?
It is.
Okay.
Just let me have the joke.
Okay.
The joke died.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So there is a story.
Had life.
Wow.
Oh, that's bad.
Harsh. That's way
You've had
harsh
other
side.
ones. You've had other great ones tonight.
That's true. We can't.
Megan
that
has
one was
most of the best
subpar.
jokes of our entire.
Oh, she has all the best
repertoire.
jokes.
So yeah, you can
My gift.
live on that. So there is one story about a woman who saw him staring at her while she was in the cemetery, and she was like, "Okie dokie," and he kind of was walking toward her.
There, Buster Brown.
Yeah,
What are you
she's like,
looking at?
I guess I'll be out now. And so she left and got in her car, and when she looked in the rearview mirror, he was sitting in the back seat.
I would shit my pants.
Yeah.
Just shit right there.
So she hightailed it out of there, and as soon as she crossed the threshold of where the cemetery is, he disappeared. Was no longer in her backseat.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, I was wondering even prior to that when you were talking, I was like, I wonder if it's like what's like the recording type hauntings where somebody just is like walking
residual.
Yeah, and just more like going through that path and maybe
no.
But I mean, even just to end up in the car kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
well, and I
that's
believe
more cognizant than just a residual.
Yeah, and I believe
not necessarily if that was in his path and he just kept going.
But he was
she
sitting
did
in the
say
back.
she felt like he was looking right at her, but who knows if he was staring? He could have been staring right through her. You know,
Right.
like you said, if it's a recording. But yeah.
Who knows?
Okay, so then
either way, it's not great.
Yeah. So then also there's this legend of that when people come into the town and they're there for like they don't belong there, they will get chased out of town by a quote unquote phantom white truck. They'll be on the road and the truck will just suddenly appear behind them. Sometimes it has a driver. I think it's a pickup. Is that a Bronco?
No.
Oh, you're thinking of what's his
OJ.
host? OJ. Yeah. No, so it's pickup. And it appears out of nowhere, chases visitors off the island, and then vanishes into thin air. And sometimes they say the truck has no driver. There was a story in one of the Let's Not Meet episodes where a guy was talking about going there.
Megan,
with
did
his
you just see
friends.
that in Amy's?
I didn't see anything.
What happened?
I saw from your right shoulder behind your chair to over Vivi. I saw like a orbish looking thing
Really?
across.
You'll have to watch it again.
Well, Gracie's running around with her white tail.
Maybe it was her
she
tail, but
she wouldn't get over here.
maybe it was her tail. It maybe could have been.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Gracie's tail is pretty distinct.
You'll have to go back and look at it.
I'll go
but I
back
just
and watch.
happened to see something that was lighter in color. But anyways.
It's out 106 minutes on my Audacity.
Okay.
Probably like
Okay.
105-ish now. No, I didn't see it.
All right. Well, I'll let you know.
I knew Gracie was in there, but yeah, it could be her tail. But it looked like it went over Vivi's back, but
yeah, that would be. I don't think she could. I don't think her tail would stick up over the end of that table. But boo boo. Okay, so there's in the Let's Not Meet story. This guy is talking about when he was a kid, teenager, and he went out with his friends, and they got in the car, headed to the island, and they saw an orange glow. And when they got closer, they realized it was a bonfire. And in the center of the bonfire was a tall box about 6 feet tall, shaped almost like a coffin. And it was in the fire. And there are people surrounding the fire wearing light colored robes, and their faces are covered.
What does that sound like to you?
Yeah.
Gross.
So they sped off. And when they thought they were safe, the white truck appeared behind them and followed them until they were down across town limits.
Wow. So they must be in Minnesota then. Booze and Brews.
Oh, this wasn't the podcast that talked about that. It was the Let's Not Meet podcast that talked about this story.
Okay. Oh, it was a story that got sent in. Okay.
Yeah. So now I did see which I have a link to the website, MinnesotaHauntedHouses.com, where they talked about some of these things that happened. And then people commented on it. And one person commented and said, I'm 29 years old. I've lived there my whole life. It's not paranormal. It's not haunted. And he went through and like debunked everything. So he said the ghost trucks are driven by the men getting off work at the gravel pit. They all drive white trucks.
White pickup trucks are the most common, like farm, cooperative, rural truck that you will find anywhere. So yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how it disappears and reappears and sometimes doesn't have a driver. But, that's...
Maybe it's a dog driving.
Yeah, maybe.
You don't know, Amy.
You don't know. He says that the green orb lantern and the orbs are the buoys reflecting off the river or they're barge lights. And he said the KKK sightings, that's at a church camp called Camp Galilee, which I looked up and it kind of looks like, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the show before, but I believe I told you. I was in like a church camp when I was in high school and college that I look back on it now and I go, that was a cult. So it looked a little bit like that kind.
Okay. Like a cult kind?
Yeah, like a cult kind. But I mean, like, I guess one of those, like, I don't know, I shouldn't say cult. I mean, I don't want them coming after me, but their website looked like
Heaven's Gate.
What are those, like, shaking their hands and dancing and singing?
Like the Baptists?
Yeah, it's Episcopal though, which is the same religion as the one that I went to.
Yeah, I know, like the gospel people. Like
yeah. I don't think they have like snakes or anything.
Not
but
Paula Abdul doing this.
Yeah,
rejoicing drugs.
Yeah,
it's different.
It's not Catholic.
No, it's not Catholic.
God, the Catholics don't show any emotion.
No, but we drink during Mass.
They just sit in there.
There you go.
No, it's stand, sit,
yeah.
Kneel.
Episcopal is like that too.
Yes. Oh my god. So you can't be a Catholic if you have bad joints. You can't.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all I got for Gray Cloud Island.
That's a good one. That's good.
Lots of stuff there. And I think there's probably more. I will mention that in leading up to this, when we talked about what we were going to do, I had mentioned that the Duluth Playhouse had some activity, but when I went to do research, I couldn't find anything about it.
That's too bad.
I did find that there is a Duluth East High School theater is haunted by the spirit of a frustrated playwright. And legend has it that the drama director at the school had been working on a script, but before he could finish the play, he fell from a balcony and died. The play was unknown to anyone until a script mysteriously appeared in an English teacher's desk with a note on old school stationery that read, "Please perform this." The note was signed with the director's initials, RC. It has yet to be performed, but students occasionally feel a cold presence or hear noises in the theater.
Well, I bet if they performed it, everything would go away.
I know.
It sounds like one that they should be performing on Only Murders in the Building then.
I know.
If anybody watched season 3.
Oh, we just finished it last night. I love that show so much.
It is cute.
Oh, I love it so much.
It's got a great cast. How can you
It does. It does. Well, and my boyfriend
season,
Paul Rudd is in this last season.
Had Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep.
Yes. Oh my God, she's so
Does James
delightful.
Marsden know you're cheating on him with Paul Rudd?
Yeah, no, don't tell him, please.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Next week we will be talking about the Dead Files' new episode, Burning Hatred, season 15, episode.
I like that.
That was perfect.
Okay, we're gonna do that.
No, please leave that in.
Well, I'm leaving that. That was cute.
Next week, we will be talking about the Dead Files' new episode, Burning Hatred, season 15.
Episode.
An episode.
Oh my God. All right. Okay. Let's get it
All right.
together.
Okay.
Next week, we will be talking about the Dead Files new episode, Burning Hatred, season 15, episode 11, which aired October 5th, 2023.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. And
everyone.
if you enjoyed this and all of our kind of BS and stuff, listen to some of our other episodes. And if you're already a listener, thank you so much for listening to our special episode as well. And we'll see you next week.
And feel free to give us a nice rating.
Yes, that would
But
be
only
cool.
nice ones. We don't want the mean ones.
No, we don't like mean ones. We don't like ones that say, another podcast where people won't stop talking.
You
I
don't.
know the whole point of a
That's
podcast.
literally a podcast.
That's literally what a podcast is.
If you have nothing nice to say,
Don't say anything.
Don't
at
say
all.
Didn't your
anything at all.
parents
Like
ever
there's this
teach you?
great thing that you can just scroll on
Yeah,
and your
it's
life
amazing.
still exists. It's crazy.
Move right along. Yeah. So
Thanks, everyone.
thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please reach out if you have a suggestion for which episode of the Dead Files we should cover next, or if you have a spooky story you'd like us to share on the show. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com or through our website or any of our socials. Links are all in the description of the show. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when the activity continues. The Activity Continues is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media, and is part of the independent Collected Sounds podcast network. We are also proud members of the Boo Pod network of super cool podcasts.
Nailed it.